Good morning, Mum.
Good morning, Rachel.
Here we are on the 2nd of January 2023, and I'm going to interview my mother, Roberta Jane Harcourt, or Colman now, as she is, and we're just going to ask her a few questions about her life, and let's hear some information from my awesome mum. So, obviously, Mum, when were you born, and whereabouts were you born?
The 16th of June 1941 in King's Lynn.
And that's in England?
Yes.
Yes.
In Norfolk,
Okay.
which is south east of London. No, south east of the Midlands.
Okay,
really.
lovely. And what is your first memory that you can think back on potentially when you were younger?
Possibly running away with my little doll's pram.
Oh, okay.
When I was about 4, I went on a real adventure, managed to open the gate of my grandparents' home, and got someone to help me cross the road, walked round to my great-grandmother's place, got the errand boy to open the big gate, went down there and visited them.
Visited your grandparents?
Well, just my great-grandmother
Nice.
and her daughters.
Cute. Cool. So that's an amazing early memory. So what comes to mind when you think about growing up in England?
Probably staying in the same place quite a bit. But at the same time there was freedom there. Like I was able to ride my bike into the countryside. It seemed like for miles with a friend and explore places that we hadn't been to before.
Cool.
And even felt free to knock at doors and ask for glasses of water, and they gave us apples and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So it was quite a freeing sort of freeing time for you as a child, really. You could, it was freer to go out and just explore.
That bit was. Yeah.
Okay. And so were you exploring with your siblings? Tell us about...
No.
No, this was before
No,
they came
because
along?
I was 7 years older than them. So they were a lot smaller, and so I went out with I was almost like an only child.
Right.
And I went out with my friends.
Ah, cool. So what did you do with your friends? What games did you play and
Well, as I said, bike riding, and Gillian and I used to do taking the cricket cards round, which is unusual, delivering the magazines to people's places. We knitted together. We read together. We did all sorts of things together. Yeah.
So Gillian was a neighbourhood friend?
She was a school friend.
Oh, school friend.
And she lived down the road from where we were renting.
Cool.
Yeah.
And this is in Norfolk?
No, this is in Harlow, Essex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where we moved.
Right. So you started off, you were born in Norfolk and then you moved to Harlow in Essex?
No, we went to Walton-on-Thames, and we were in a flat there that Mum and Dad had kept going through the war. And we lived there for a while, and I went to school in Walton-on-Thames.
Right.
From the age of 5 to 7, and then we moved to Harlow in Essex, and I went to this little primary school there. And had raw cabbage.
Oh.
That was supposed to be coleslaw.
Okay, good.
Yeah, with this horrible mayonnaise which was made of flour and vinegar.
Right.
Yeah, not very nice.
Not a nice memory for you,
No,
obviously.
But I can tell you one nice memory, and that is having pomegranate for the first time in the playground. Someone came up to me with an opened pomegranate and offered me some seeds, and so I tried that for the first time.
Cool.
Yeah.
And did you like it?
Yeah, I quite liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, new
Okay.
experience.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What hobbies did you have? Were you a book reader? Or were you more of an outside kind of girl?
Well, I liked both, really. I did reading, yeah, a lot of reading. I liked colouring in, and I liked letter writing. Um, I'd like playing two balls outside on the wall, and I did a bit of skipping,
Yep.
skipping games. We did those sort of things.
Mhm.
Cleaning up my bike and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, oiling it and
Did you
yeah.
did you do anything with your parents specifically? Like, did you do like cooking with your mum and I don't know, maybe fishing with your dad or anything like that?
I started cooking when Mum was sick,
Hmm?
and had to keep rushing upstairs to ask her what to do next.
Right.
Like, I think I was cooking a fish meal and, making sauce to go with it and doing the vegetables and stuff.
Right.
So I did what I could and then ran up and asked for help.
Right. Okay. Cool. Um, did you have a pet growing up?
Yes, we did. We had a cat and we also had a parrot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about the parrot.
Well, the parrot came from Africa as a fledgling with another one. My grandfather Harcourt brought it over back from Africa, and one went to one family and one went to him, but then when he died we had the parrot,
And did the parrot have a name?
Polly.
And did the Polly talk?
Yes, Polly talked.
Did you teach it to talk?
We didn't really need to. It
Oh.
seemed to talk already. He seemed to talk already.
Mm.
And so when tradesmen came to the door and we weren't there, it carried on a bit of a conversation and they thought it was a real person.
Excellent. I love it.
Mm.
That's good. Probably would have scared off a few burglars too if they were to be there.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So that you talked about Gillian before. Is she still living, or would she be your oldest living friend? Do you think?
Possibly, but I don't know whether she's still living now. We corresponded for a while whilst we came over here, when we came over here. And then when I went back at 21, I definitely visited her there. I went from London on the train to Harlow,
Yeah.
because it's the direct line, and went to visit her. And she showed me her new house, which had a bathroom. Because the first, she was very proud of that, because the first house that I used to go to with her, her own home, she didn't have a bathroom. And when I stayed there, we had to use a potty at night if we wanted to go.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And otherwise, we had to go right outside the back door and round the back to the loo. It was an outside loo.
So the house that you grew up in, or the houses, did they all have bathrooms, or was?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So this was just
This was new to me.
slightly different.
And they also had a special bath that they had once a week in the kitchen that they filled with hot water.
Were they okay? Right. Okay. Great.
And they washed in the sink in a different basin. So that's where we washed in the morning.
Right.
A quick wash.
Okie dokes. So did you have any family traditions growing up that you kind of did as a family, like, going to a certain place for a holiday or going to visit the grandparents every Easter or whatever? Did you do anything like that?
Yes, we used to go and visit the grandparents just about every holiday that we had, like Christmas and I'm not sure about Easter so much, but anyway, Christmas or the summertime.
Right.
Yeah.
And did they live very far away from where you were?
Well, not really, but it seemed like a long way then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you sort of kept in your own little area.
So remind us where they were living at this time.
Well, they were both living in King's Lynn, and by now we were in Harlow.
Right.
And so it was a wee way to go. And then later on, I went to stay with my grandmother, who was widowed then, by by myself, in a little bungalow,
Right.
which was cute.
Yeah.
And I always remember that because
Yeah.
it was very, very special. And I got some awful spots there, and she thought it was because we'd visited some pigs, but I reckon it was chicken pox or something like that.
Oh,
know.
okay. So
Yeah.
how long did you stay there with her? A week or two?
Yeah, something like that.
Nice, nice. And so what was a typical day like in your childhood? What would have been a typical day?
Well, I'm thinking of when I was in Walton-on-Thames. I remember things were hard to come by. Like, my parents had to queue for bananas and stuff at the local greengrocers, and so whilst they were there, I was probably playing with plasticine or something like that, cutting it up and making it into meat or something.
So there were a few
I remember
things.
that, and I remember getting shut into a bedroom with Barbie.
Right.
And no, I think it was just Mum and I got shut into this bedroom and we couldn't get out.
Oh.
And it was a flat, so we're up quite high, and we tried to make people hear through the window, but no one really. That was the tennis court side, it wasn't the public side. So we got locked in there until someone found out and came and got us out.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was a bit traumatic.
So you mentioned Barbie, and Barbie is your sister.
Yeah, she was born there, so she wasn't in that bedroom there. No.
Right. Okay. So you've got your sister Barbie, who is how many years younger than you?
7.
7 years younger, and then you've got your brother Phil.
Yes.
Yeah. Phil Harcourt, who is how much younger than you?
He's about 10 years.
Right. Okay. So you all grew up in that particular place there? Did you stay there for a little while?
No.
You moved again?
First of all, we lived in the flat in Walton-on-Thames.
Yes.
Then we moved to Harlow,
Yes.
and with Barbie as a baby. And then Phil was born there when we'd gone into about 2 rented places, and then finally got into another rented places, but it was a new house on a new housing estate
Right.
that we were waiting to go into.
Okay, right. Okay, cool. Cool. So, what do you remember most about your teenage years? Like the
They
schools,
were-
anything like that?
To start with, I had this cloud like the 11 plus over me, like there was a bit of urgency coming over from parents and things that we should pass this 11 plus at SAM so that we could get into the grammar school.
Oh, okay. So a bit of pressure.
Yeah, a bit of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a few nightmares over that, and I didn't get into the grammar school. Gillian went to the grammar school, and so Mum and Dad didn't want me to go to the secondary modern and sent me to a private school in Bishop Stortford, which was a bus ride away.
Okay. And how many years were you at Bishop Stortford?
Until I came to New Zealand. So
when you finished
fifth
college?
form, more or less 5th form.
Okay.
And I was about to take GCE, and then we came here in the middle of it all.
Okay. So
Yeah. I was a day pupil at the boarding school.
right. And what were your favourite subjects? What did you enjoy the most at school?
Well, I liked maths, and I liked the art. Yeah.
Cool. Did you play any instruments or play any sports or anything like that?
Well, the sports we played were netball, I liked netball, and I wanted to play tennis, but there wasn't anyone to take us for that.
Okay.
And we played this game called lacrosse
Yes.
that I quite liked, but I wasn't much good at it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And so you were saying that you came across, so basically you finished in, say, fifth form or year 11, as we call it.
Yeah.
And then you came to New Zealand. How come you came to New Zealand? Did your dad change jobs, or what was the reasoning for that?
Well, Dad saw that the numbers for this job that he was working for as a civil engineer in Harlow, which was one of 3 new towns built for people in London to live in,
Mm-hmm.
because they desperately needed more room to live. He saw that the numbers of that were set and possibly coming to an end. So he thought, well, would he like to work in London, or would he like to work in the Midlands? And he thought, no, he didn't want to. And he suddenly realised that this is a chance to go overseas. I think this is what happened.
Mm.
And so he applied for Canada and Tasmania and Australia and New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And he got some of these jobs. He got one in Tasmania, and that had a house with it, but I think he thought that that was going to be too insular. And so he accepted the one in New Zealand. And we didn't know where we were going to be in New Zealand
Right.
until we landed.
And had you heard of New Zealand before that? Did you know where it was?
Yes, we had done it at school.
Oh, okay.
And I'd got a map in my book of the islands of New Zealand with sheep all over it, and that was about it.
Right. Oh, good.
So by then we'd gone to New Zealand. Someone had gone to New Zealand and house and got a few books.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, your parents' names. What are your parents' names?
Dad's name is Robert Richard Louis Harcourt.
And your mum?
Pamela Rosemary, and it was Rutter.
Yes. And so, and just briefly tell us, what jobs did they do? What were their jobs that they were?
Well, Dad was always a civil engineer, and he didn't get a degree, and he always wished he had, but he was very well qualified.
Mm-hmm.
And Mum was like a secretary.
Right.
Yeah.
As well as obviously looking after all the children.
Yes, I mean, she didn't work then, but that's what she did before she got married, and she loved it.
Good. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And so, how did your parents, do you know how your parents met, got together?
Yes, I do. Down in Norfolk, they had a beach chalet, and in Snettisham, and I think Mum and Dad met on the beach. Dad came up to Mum and asked her, would she like a stopper out of a little white paper bag, because that's how you got them from the shop.
Yeah.
And she had one, and yeah, she thought he looked a very nice boy.
And how old do you think they were?
Maybe
Teens?
10, 12.
Oh, that young. Oh.
And later on, they met at dancing class that my grandmother took. They did plays and things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a picture of them in a play about the toy shop. Yeah.
So they were pretty much childhood sweethearts then, would they?
Yes, they were. And also they went to confirmation classes together.
Okay, cute.
Yeah.
So, well,
I mean, they might not have been together, but they were in the same class. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, right. Okay, and so, so you, that's cool. So when you were 15, your dad goes, "Oh yeah, we're going to move to New Zealand." What did you think? Were you excited, or were you a bit sad because you were leaving friends and what you knew, or how did you feel about moving to New Zealand?
I don't think I had much say.
No.
And, I don't really recall that.
No.
No.
But do you remember how long, was it a
I
long
just
trip?
had to sort out stuff, and some stuff that Grandpa had given me, antique stuff, I left behind, and I wished I hadn't left it behind. It was a gorgeous desk thing, a travelling desk that unfolded, and you can put things in there, like a leather top.
Cool.
You know, it just folded out, and
Yeah,
it was a
lovely.
travelling one. Yeah.
Nice.
And he collected things from antique shops.
Right, okay.
And he'd given me little cups and saucers, and other people had too. And I left all those behind, and I regret that because, you know, that would have been invaluable over here because they're rare, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess so, they are, yeah. And so just briefly, just your grandparents, what did they do as jobs?
Well, Grandma Harcourt was always a housewife.
Right.
Because her mother died early on, and so she virtually brought up the rest of the family, her family.
Okay.
And then she met Grandpa, I don't know where, and then she looked after Dad, and then she adopted Auntie Mary.
Right. So what did
Because
your
Auntie
grandpa...
Mary's mother died in childbirth.
Right. So your grandpa, what did he do to support, you know, obviously your grandmother and all these children?
Well, he was in post office and telegraph.
Right.
And he went to Africa and did that there for, you can go on the internet, and I think there's about 6 to 8 trips that he went on.
Okay.
And it took about 6 weeks, I think, to get out from, I suppose he left London, I'm not sure. London to wherever. And he went there about 6 times.
Okay, so he did leave for a
doing
little while.
post office and telegraph things in Africa.
Interesting.
He wouldn't have been actually doing it. He probably would be leading it. I don't really know the details of that.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So, do you have a favourite memory that you had with your grandparents?
Those ones?
Yeah.
I haven't mentioned the other ones, what they did. Well, probably.
So these were your dad's.
Yeah,
parents,
Dad's parents.
Right.
Going and around the garden, the fruit garden, the vegetable garden, and feeding the chooks. He used to make up a special mix with potato peelings and bran and stuff, and also going beekeeping with him.
Cool.
And eating those beautiful Cox's apples off the tree while he was doing the bee things.
Nice, nice.
So that was interesting, yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the grandparents on the other side, just a small amount?
Yes, well, Grandpa worked in a coal office.
So this is your mother's side?
Yes.
Yep.
And Grandma had a dancing school.
Right, lovely.
With her sister. And so she was a working woman as well as bringing up 2 children.
Yeah, that's busy woman. So when you came to New Zealand and you moved to Wellington, you came straight into Wellington?
Yes.
Yes. What did you think when you first arrived in Wellington?
Well, we loved the harbour, and we just, the boat sort of sat outside Miramar, that part.
So it took how long to get over on the boat?
About 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't know where we were going, so we were up early, you know, to see the sunrise and that sort of thing, wondering what was going to happen. And Dad went ashore to find out, and we just waited on the boat.
Yes.
And then and also on the side of where we landed were all these Harcourt signs, you know, real estate.
Oh, right. So welcome to Wellington. There's plenty of family here.
Yes, and so later on, I mean, we knew we weren't connected to them, but, you know, there might have been something there.
Yeah.
But Dad came back and said, we're staying in Wellington. Well, by that time, I had met people on the boat, and I decided I wanted to go to Auckland.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everyone was talking about it and everything.
Yeah.
So I was a bit disappointed. But anyway, that's where we were going to go. And we went and stayed in Sayers Court, the same one that Adrian stayed in, same hotel,
Okay.
off the terrace.
Okay.
And what I remember there is these lovely Maori girls in their little black shoes and black uniforms, giggling and going on and they were eating something, and we asked them what it was, and it was kiwi fruit.
Okay.
And that was what we were going to get for dessert. And we were served the most delicious roast that we hadn't had. We have lots of roasts in England, but not like that, with kumara and pumpkin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those sweeter things with the
Nice.
meat and veggies and stuff, and roast potatoes. Yeah, we really enjoyed that.
Awesome. So when you so after that, after you stayed in the Sayers Court, were you then were you given the Eden Street house in Island Bay, or
No.
where did you?
No, we went out to Rongotai, and they'd been starting to knock down houses there for the runway.
Right.
And so we lived in a house there that someone had moved out of. But unfortunately, they'd had dogs there, so Barbara got bitten very badly by fleas.
Oh.
We were just sleeping on camp beds and making do with orange boxes for tables and things like that.
So how long did you stay there for before you moved again?
I'm not quite sure until we got the house, I suppose. We had a very bad southerly one weekend. They said it was a southerly, and we just thought, oh yes, this is normal, but actually it was out of the ordinary. And the lines came down, slashing and going on. And we still went round to get meat from this little butcher's round the corner, mince.
Yes.
We had never had mince like that before, not raw mince.
Right. All
We
these
made
new
mince
things.
out of the roast, leftover roast, but we hadn't had raw mince to cook up.
Yeah, ready to go.
So we weren't that good at cooking that up. It was pretty nasty, actually.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So okay. So right. So after you were in Miramar, or that Rongotai, is that when you moved to Island Bay?
Yes.
And did your parents buy that house, or did they rent that as well?
No, they bought it.
Right.
It was their first house.
Wow.
And they were about 40.
Okay. So that's pretty special then, isn't it?
Very special.
Yeah.
For them.
Right. And how long did you live in that house for, do you think? Like how old
Well,
were you?
until I got married.
Right.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Oh, well, I went flatting and worked at different places. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so tell us about
During that time.
your jobs. Like, what did you do? What was your first job? So you were in Wellington. You came to Wellington. What schooling did you have when you arrived? You obviously had to slot into a school.
Yes, I went to Wellington East, and it was about Easter time, probably just after Easter.
Yep.
So I was in my school certificate year that year. I'd missed a whole term out of the 3 terms that we had then, and they had already done, my subjects had to be slightly adjusted to what I was doing in England, and I was okay for English. Okay for maths, but when it came to science, that was a bit different.
Yeah.
And also the geography. Like, I hadn't travelled through New Zealand to get any knowledge of that at all.
No.
And they had just done New Zealand geography, and they were going on to England or something like that.
So you would have nailed that one then, the English geography.
Well,
England.
that was all right,
Yeah.
but I didn't know the New Zealand geography, so I had to really look into that. Yeah.
Okay.
So that meant at the end of the day, I was just passing school certificate.
Well, that's kind of
with
understandable.
200 or whatever it had to be.
Sure. So how long did you stayed at Wellington East until 6th form? Or is it
Yeah,
6th
I had
form?
5th form there and 6th form,
Yeah.
and that's where I met Doriel.
Okay. She's one of your best friends at school, at college?
Yes, she would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when did you decide to leave school, and what did you do then?
I think it was decided for me, really. I don't think I made too many decisions by myself, but I think that Dad and Mum thought it'd be good for me to go to training college.
Right. And that
I'm
was
not
in Wellington?
sure I had much say in it myself. In Wellington.
Right. So you went to training college and...
Yes, that's right, for 2 years.
For 2 years, right. I've lost my train of thought. Right, so you went to training college with your best friend Gillian. Did she go there too? Training college or not? Or did she do something else?
My best friend Gillian's in England.
Oh, sorry, who? Doriel. Sorry, wrong person. Doriel. Did she do?
No, she didn't. And she's told me lately that she would have liked to have gone, but her parents didn't want her to go because he worked on the wharf and he knew that the people in, how shall I put it, were slightly pink. The people, the lecturers and the head, they thought they were slightly pink, so they didn't want her to have a bar of that.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't let her go to training college. And she did some other work on some machines. I've forgotten now what they're called.
Okay. So you said that you didn't really, you sort of felt like you were meant to go to training college because your parents wanted you to do that. But did you have any dreams that you wanted to do? Did you have any ideas of what you were interested in or wanted to maybe learn about for yourself as a job even?
I don't remember that.
No. So you went to training college and you trained as a...
All I remember is before I left England, I wanted to have a job. And that was the Christmas coming up that I wanted to go around and deliver the Christmas mail.
Right.
And I never got to do that.
Okay.
So that was something I wanted to do myself.
Right,
Yes.
all right. So when you went to training college in Wellington and you became a primary school teacher?
Yes.
Yep. And where was your first job as a primary school teacher?
It was at Mount Cook School.
And how old were you when you did that?
I think I was 20.
Right.
Yeah.
Mount Cook School, and...
19 or 20.
Lovely.
I had a year there, and then I went to Swiss, which is South Wellington Intermediate School.
Oh, yes.
And that was a position for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I got that over some guys who'd applied for that. They were very disappointed. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but that's just what happened. So I was there for a year, and then Sue and I went over to overseas. And
where did you meet Sue? Did you meet Sue at Wellington East Girls College?
Yes, I did.
Right, so you guys became fast friends?
She was another friend, yeah.
So would she be one of your longest, college friends, I guess?
Yes.
Her and Doriel?
They were.
Yeah.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
If Sue is still alive, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What time... okay, so you did your teaching, and what other jobs did you do, apart from that one?
I worked in little coffee shops and things like that, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And in DIC, selling cosmetics, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Especially
at Christmas time, when guys came in and you could sell them quite a lot of stuff. That was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you travel to training college on the bus, or did you have a little car, or how did you travel around Wellington when you were there?
I had to go by tram or bus,
right,
and up the cable car, or walk up the steps, or
because training college is it university, or was it in Colman, or was
Kelburn.
it in?
It was in Colman.
It was in Colman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite a long way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you ever buy a car? Or did you buy your first car, or did you?
Not then.
Not then.
Not until I got a job in Palmerston North.
Okay, so you worked at the schools in Wellington, and then you moved to Palmerston North.
Well, I went overseas, and then when I came back from overseas, which was about 18 months later.
Was that after you'd finished teaching, or you'd just taken a bit of a break?
No, I've got my qualifications, done Swiss, and then left for England for 18 months. and that was a working holiday,
Right.
which was marvellous because it kind of gave me wings to fly.
Mhm.
Yeah,
A bit of independence.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a great experience. I could have spent the money on a section at Whangmataa,
Right.
which Brett wishes that I had, but I don't, because I had all that experience overseas, which helped to develop my character.
Sure. That's good. Good to have a bit of independence
and
in that.
independence, because that's what I wanted at that stage, independence.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
So when I came back, I had to find some work, lived at home, but didn't really want to live at home. I mean, it's lovely with Mum and Dad, but I just wanted the independence that I'd had before, and I got a job at Picton
Mhm.
in a secondary school,
Mhm.
starting up Queen Charlotte College,
Right.
and they just wanted some people to be permanent and some to work there until they could get some fresh teachers a bit later on.
Right.
You know, I think that was the idea.
Okay, cool.
You know, so that they could see what sort of teachers they'd got and, you know, fill in the gaps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which makes sense. So that was that whole new college starting up there, brand new building, grounds, and we all had to share the work and do what we could. I think we went with our strengths really.
So what did you
do?
do?
One class really difficult. Well, I was given the class. One class that was really difficult for all of us. And I can't believe it now, but I took them. They said, take them for anything that just keeps them occupied. You know?
Yeah.
And so I took them for ballroom dancing.
Oh
I
my
just can't believe it now, how I could do that.
Out of all the subjects.
No.
Yeah.
But while we were there in Picton, we had a marvellous time getting to know the locals, who were very friendly and used to bring us produce because it was the autumn term.
Yeah.
They brought us tomatoes and all these things, took us fishing, and I didn't catch a thing, but they put a fish on my line, you know, they were full of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had parties nearly every weekend, and yeah, it was a good term.
Yeah, nice. And you had plenty of friends down there that you could hang out with.
Yeah, flattered there in a house, and that was good.
Yeah.
And whilst I was there, then Doriel and Roger came over to check up on me. Yeah, really.
So obviously by this time your friend had got married.
What?
Your friend had got married.
Yes, she had.
Yes.
So they came over to check up on me, which was really interesting. But yeah, what happened then? Oh yes, I had to then think, well look, this job's not going to go on forever, it's just temporary. I must apply for some things. So it was quite good for me too, because I was able to look at the Education Gazette and choose about 3 jobs that were going and apply for those.
And where did you end up with
and
those?
I actually think I got 2 of them out of the 3, which makes it quite difficult because then you've got to decide out of those 2.
Yeah.
And one was Blenheim
Okay.
and one was Palmerston North.
Right.
And I chose the Palmerston North one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. And what school was it that you taught at Palmerston North?
Central Normal.
Right. And so was Palmerston North where you met Dad? Or did you settle down in Palmerston North? How did you,
No, I
you and
didn't
Dad?
meet Dad in Palmerston North.
Right.
I met him in Wellington.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your relationships maybe, or did you date anybody before Dad?
Yeah, I went out with a few people.
Yeah.
But I'd only go out with them if I really liked them.
Sure.
I couldn't stand some people, you know. I just immediately knew I didn't want to go out with them.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you meet Dad then?
Well, I met him at an orchestra concert.
Yes.
When I came down from Palmerston North. I'd just been a bridesmaid up there. And to a friend up there, and I came down to Wellington to go to this concert before Sue's wedding the next day, because I was going to be bridesmaid for her the next day.
And that was the first time you met him at this concert?
No, going to the coffee shop
I'll go into the coffee shop.
in
when
Dixon Street with everybody
Ah,
after the concert.
so what were your first impressions of him?
Um, yeah, I thought he was nice looking and everything, but when we walked up the street, I found the communication a bit stilted.
Right, so he's a
And
bit shy and quiet.
Yeah, so I just thought, oh, well, you know. And then he sat next to Tom's sister,
Right.
and I sat next to, I just sat, and I had this other guy near me that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was best man. I don't think he was best man at the wedding. He was something at the wedding anyway, and I was sitting next to him, and I had a great deal of difficulty with fending him off.
Right.
It wasn't happy. It wasn't a relaxed.
Concert.
No, not concert. The wedding the next day.
Oh, okay. All right.
No.
So, okay, so you went to this wedding, and obviously he was there at the wedding, and so what did you have any other interaction at this wedding, or was it after that?
Well,
with you and Dad?
I had just had this guy sitting next to me who was a dash nuisance, and so when I came to take the cake round, I was really relieved. I didn't have to put up with that anymore.
Yeah, good.
And so I went round and started talking to him and this other guy and Judy, a friend from Auckland that I'd met. She was
Right.
another teacher. And instead of going round with the cake, I just stood there.
And talked.
I think the cake was taken off me. I can't
Excellent.
remember.
Okay,
And
cool.
then Dad came to me and said, well, how are you going to get home? And he gave me some money, which I put down my bra in case I needed it for a taxi.
Yeah.
Dad was so sweet looking after me like that. And then Adrian asked me to go, that he'd take me home.
Nice. And so after that, how when did you started going out from then, or on a little regular basis, or?
No, I didn't expect anything really.
Okay.
I was just going there for Sue and Tom and the other people that I knew, like her brother and his friends and
Okay, so
all
after
that
that,
circle.
you just hung out in a big group after that type thing?
Just hung out after
slowly.
the wedding, hung out after the at Sue's parents' place. In Lyle Bay, we just went round there and had coffee and stuff.
Right,
We just
so
hung out. It was cool.
Yeah, cool. So how did things get a little bit more serious between you and Dad then? And how did you know he was the one?
Well, I think it was really not at the Pines so much. I suppose it was to start off at the Pines, but he kept falling asleep. And we danced around and everything, and that was good. But then he'd sort of fall asleep at the table and stuff. He just seemed... And
Tired.
so, I didn't know what was happening.
Okay.
And then we went to I was outside my flat in Palmerston North talking to another girl and saying, oh, men, we were going on about men, and saying, oh, goodness, it's so hard, isn't it, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And that's when he was ringing up inside.
Oh.
And he rang 3 times. So I thought, oh my gosh, he must be serious. And as he said, Beryl got the call. And so I thought, well, I better ring back. So I rang back and accepted the invitation
To?
to go to the ball at the whatever it is, cabaret.
Oh, the Seaside Cabaret,
Yeah,
right, in
that's
Petone.
right.
Cool.
Yeah, and so it sort of happened from
There.
yeah. I think we fell in love there, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
Aw.
And then after that, it was just him coming up to Palmerston North and staying with a friend of mine there. We went out together. And, or he'd come round when I came home to see Mum and Dad.
Nice. So you guys just sort of hung out together and Did you, what kind of fun things did you kind of go and do together? Did you go out to the beach? Did you go skiing? Did you do what did you do? Walking?
Yes, we did go up to the mountains, skiing. I can't remember now.
Did you do any
Sorry.
travelling or anything there?
Just mainly between Palmerston North and Wellington.
All right. And so
I can't really remember that. No.
that's cool. So when did he propose and where?
In the car outside the place where he was staying.
And where was that? In
Palmerston
Palmer.
North.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So Dad moved up to Palmerston North to stay.
No, he was commuting to see me at the weekends, or I to Wellington.
Okay.
Yeah, he asked me about 3 times, and I just laughed because I suppose I wasn't sure, and also because I was reasonably happy the way I was, with my job and friends and everything.
But you weren't sure whether you wanted to be with him, or you just were quite happy as things were going on?
Well, it didn't take me long to make up my mind, because we were engaged we started going out in May, and we got engaged in August, and then married in December.
Oh, well, that didn't
so
take
it didn't really take very long. No.
And obviously you realised you can have your job and you can be married at the same time.
Yeah.
When did you get married? Where did you get married?
In St Hilda's in Island Bay.
Right, which was just in the same suburb as where your parents lived. Yeah. And where did you go on honeymoon?
Well, we had a travelling honeymoon, really.
Yes.
Napier and Waikari Moana and East Cape and Auckland. And we finally went to that little island. I've forgotten now what it's called. Kauai Island?
I don't know.
Kauai Island, somewhere like that.
So you've done quite a lot of travelling together.
Because Mavis got married, we went to the wedding, and then we went to where they were having their honeymoon and had a meal with them there on the island that has wallabies and stuff like that on it. Kauai Island?
Oh, I don't know.
Can't remember now.
Anyway. So when you think about Dad, how would you describe him?
Well, I described him to my girlfriends as tall, dark and handsome. And I don't think they could disagree.
No.
Because he was dark haired then. And he was handsome.
Is he still handsome, Mum?
Yes. Yes, he's still handsome.
Yes.
And he may not have spoken a lot, but when he did speak, it was worthwhile,
Yeah. Cool. So that's awesome. So you've obviously enjoyed you've enjoyed travelling together. You've been to loads of countries all over the world. Are there any particular places that you would still like to go, or any special? What would be your favourite memory? Just maybe you've probably got loads, but a special memory from your travels together overseas. What would be one of your favourite holidays?
Well, probably Noosa. Yeah, probably Noosa, because it's similar to New Zealand, but it's got tremendously good markets and really fresh food and stuff, and lovely beaches, and it's a bit warmer, and the walk round the coast is lovely and through the bush.
Yeah.
And the Sunset Beach is a different thing again over there. And having your breakfast outside and things.
Yeah, it's
and
so nice.
And also the hinterland is very interesting there. Going up into the hills there and looking at all the views and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very varied and interesting. And I love New Zealand, but Australia's got something else.
Yeah.
It's got a bit more wildness to it.
Well, it's a much bigger country for one, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't have minded living there in some ways, but I think here is best.
Yeah, yeah. So, so when you got married and you had a couple of homes, you had one in Bogletown and a few flats and that, and then you settled in Island Bay, and then you decided to have your children, and obviously your children's names are me, Rachel, Brett, David, and Sarah. Were there can you remember any funny or memorable stories with your children? It doesn't have to be all of them, but maybe it's something that they did, or did because you were at home mum, you were teaching when you had me, right? And then you stopped and had more children. Is that correct?
Well, I worked up to about 6 weeks before having you because I wanted the money.
Right. So you're
and
working.
I was prepared to go back to work after the 6 weeks of having you.
Yeah.
But Dad said he didn't know that. And then when I told him, he said, definitely not.
Is this your dad or my dad?
No, my dad.
Oh.
Your dad. Adrian.
Right,
Adrian.
okay.
He said, no, you're not.
Right, so this was when you were working at Worcester Bay
So
School?
I only got the six weeks,
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was your job at Worcester Bay School as a
Yes,
teacher there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was probably my best one. I loved it there, and I think I got a very good report from there. So I left on a bit of a high.
Well, that's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Except you've left like 50 or so people behind you, counting the children, or more, and then you're just there with, husband gone to work and one baby.
Yeah, so how did you find that? A bit lonely, or did you just...
Well, it was tricky at first,
Yeah.
yes, to adjust to that.
Yeah.
But
So-
of course I loved having the baby, and I remember coming through and saying, I don't ever want her to grow up because I loved you as a baby so much.
You like your babies, Mum.
Yeah, I
So
do.
you had another 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And then after having Sarah, I said, oh, maybe I could have twins now.
Yes, I remember
Which
you
was
saying
ridiculous.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
dear.
So what do you think, your approach to parenting, how did you find it? It's a really hard job, but obviously it can be rewarding. How would you present yourself as a parent? Like, would you say that you were strict, lenient? What would you say your style was?
Well, to begin with, I just wanted to do it for a start. And when my mother presented me with a book like Spock, or said, what about Spock? I wasn't really interested. I looked at that, and then the only thing I used in that was a bit at the back about diseases and things.
So Spock,
they were very, very clear, and you could tell, what spots were what disease.
So it was Spock, a book about how to raise children or something?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right, okay.
And before he died, he said that he had been wrong about things. So some people use that religiously. And then Adrian's mother said to me, well, how are you bringing up Rachel when I went to stay there? And I said, naturally. So she offered me this Illingworth book. Yeah. So I read through that, and there was a few things I took out of that. But I actually had a little book that I got from St. Helens that had very practical things in it.
The hospital.
And simple, yeah.
Right.
And I mainly went on that. Yeah.
Okay,
and
cool.
what we'd been taught at St. Helens, about the feeding.
Right.
So I fed you, like, for 1 minute each side and things like that.
Right. Okay. So
I didn't demand feed. No, I did it more by timing, but it seemed to work, and you seemed to be happy, and
yeah. Okay.
yeah. So I brought you up naturally as much as I could, but in a time frame. And I'm glad I did that, because I've seen other people that seem to overfeed their kids and stuff. And no, I
So-
think you were fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, well, everybody does it differently, and
Of course
you
they
know,
do.
so that's cool. Is there anything you would change in the way you raised us?
Well, Dad and I found it difficult because he didn't want to hit you or anything, but at one stage in the Christian thing, I felt that I should do that, but I was really being led astray, I think, because really children only need that occasionally in a very different environment.
Well, I guess things change with discipline, like you might have been brought up with, like,
And I regret that,
right.
because I think Adrian was right, but at the same time there comes a point where you do have to be a bit strict and more put barriers out there or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure we learnt our lessons one way or another anyway, Mum. Yeah.
But on the whole, I can't really remember very much about it all now, but I enjoyed it and I loved it. And I guess there were hard moments, but I didn't really think of it like that.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the whole thing.
So you
Yeah.
really enjoy being a mum, eh?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So, so what three events, say, in your life most shaped your life, do you think? Like what, yeah, what are some of the events that shaped your life? So you had your mother, you're a teacher, you're a mother. Are there any other things that came into your life that changed you a little bit?
Well, I think it was really good that I was able to go and stay with my grandmother, Grandma Harcourt. I really admire her for how she managed on her own a lot of her life, and gardened and stuff.
Right.
I think I've got an example in her, and just the way she was practical at home and, you know, did things without too much fuss.
Mhm.
And gardened and stuff. Yeah. And also my grandfather, Roberta, was a great friend to me, taking me for walks, taking interest in me, and he lived with us for a while in Harlow. And then when he left, he still kept in touch with postcards and things and asked me things like, how did you get on in your maths?
Nice.
And things like that.
Yeah.
And then when we left to go to New Zealand, it must have been terrible for him, because we never saw him again. He died shortly after.
Right.
And but he corresponded with Mum and me. So he was a great friend, and he helped me with things like a reading I did at church at Christmas time.
Right.
Over Quirinius, governor of Syria, and things like that, pronouncing those
Oh,
things.
I see. Yes, there's quite a few
Yeah.
things in the Bible that
So,
is.
yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
And I've only realised that fairly lately. that
Yeah.
He was a really loving,
Influence.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
And also my great aunts in Bristol. I went there in the holidays for about a week, 10 days. And they were very encouraging and lovely people to be with.
Sounds like you had a really loving family, like quite inclusive and just there for you type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's so awesome. So you're talking about, you know, going to church and how your grandfather helped you? Was it your grandfather who was helping you to pronounce the words or whatever?
Yeah.
So how did you talk to me about your beliefs or your faith? Talk to me about that. How did you come to have a faith, and what is it?
Well, because we went to the Anglican church, and confirmation, I went through that, and I did believe in what I was saying and everything, the things we had to learn. And we had the laying on of hands, but I never really felt anything. But I had Auntie Mabel praying for me. I have various people praying for me, and a history in the family of people who believed in Jesus.
So how did you come to believe in Jesus?
Well, it was more in New Zealand when Di came and told me that perhaps my confirmation wasn't enough, that I needed to accept Jesus into my life.
Who's Di?
Diane Cranfield.
Right, okay.
And so I thought about that, and I thought, well, if it wasn't enough, I will just ask Jesus into my life. So I did that over the kitchen sink, really.
Right. Okay.
In Mornington, where we were living. And then after that, I started to go to a few Bible studies and to a prayer meeting, which was in a room at the back of Lyle Bay Church. And when I went to that the first time, Di and Cran were there, and I just opened my mouth and out came a whole lot of words. And they said, goodness, that's prophecy. And I suppose I'm jumping the gun a bit. So anyway, we went to another, I think I wanted to get tongues, so I don't know how that happened, but it did. And then we went over to Wainui and Martha because they wanted us to go over there because they came to Lyle Bay for the group there. And they said, we want you to come over to, all of us, to go over to Wainui and Martha. So we went over there, and then I kind of was singing in tongues. And we had all these gifts. I went to the Life and the Spirit seminar, and
Right, so people who don't know what tongues is, what is that? Is that like, what is that about?
well, it's a special language that God gives you, and really the value of it is to praise God and talk to Him. And the most real value for other people is if you have interpretation of it, so you know what that old language that you've been given is actually saying.
Right. So it's basically to edify yourself, right? And praising God internally, right, in a special way. So, so you know, you're obviously a Christian woman who. So what do you do every day to like affirm your beliefs, or just, you know, to practice that?
Well, you read the Bible, and try and do what it says.
Right.
Try and understand. And sometimes you get Rima, which is, it lights up for you, and you think, oh my gosh, that's what that really means.
Right, and then you can put it into your everyday life.
Yes, that's right. And it's very exciting walking with the Lord, and I'm trying to partner with Him, and it's like Torval and Dean skating round together.
Right.
Because sometimes you get really good moves and everything's fine, and sometimes it's a bit scary.
Sure. So what would be the scariest what would be the scariest thing that's ever happened to you, Mum, do you think?
I don't really know. I can't think of that at the moment.
That's okay.
No.
That's all right. So obviously that's obviously an ongoing daily
scenario,
thing. Yeah, which is cool.
Writing writing a journal's great, but I'm not very consistent. But that people say, don't worry, just do it as you think. And I do have lapses, of course, when I don't read the Bible, but that is to my loss, really. And reading other books too give you inspiration. And being with other people. You definitely need other people because they've got different gifts to you.
Right.
And they just give you extra. Like one day at the prayer meeting that I go to on a Tuesday, We're mostly older women there. First of all, I heard this music, and I thought, ooh, Irish music, you know, so that lit my little flame. And then later on, a girl had got prayed for, and she came out with this word, and again, it was like Robbie, and she knows nothing about my desire in my heart. And she just said, oh, Robbie, she said, do you like dancing? I said, yeah. And she said, do you like Irish dancing? And I said, well, I haven't done much, but yeah, that's cool. And so she had this word for me, which confirmed what I'd had start coming back to me about Dad's dream going to Ireland. Instead of me being a widow, I woke up and thought he was going to die. This is ages ago. And I said, I don't want to be a widow. And he said, it's all right because I've had this dream. We're in Ireland when we're 85.
Is this your dad or my dad? I'm getting confused with the dads.
This is
Adrian.
Adrian.
Right.
I've just had this dream, and I've seen these houses and stuff.
Right.
It's an island, and it could be an island, and we're 85.
Right. Well, we'll have to see if that
So
happens.
then this has come up lately, and I've had confirmation from other people as well. So it's like a little flame there.
Okay, cool. It's
Yeah.
all good to have a little flame. So, all right, well, we'll move on. So, what are you most proud of in life so far? What are some of your best achievements? Maybe 2 or 3.
Well, I have to say the family, and I think what's thrilled me most about the family is the fact that if I died tonight, I think that I would be very happy because you are getting together with each other.
Right.
And you're loving David and Hiromi and their children, and Sarah and Malcolm and their children, and Joe and Brett and their children, even though you've got different ideas and different opinions, and that's fine. And I just love the fact that you are getting together with them and spending some time in this very busy world.
It is busy. It is true.
And doing it in a way that makes it easy for all of you.
Yeah. So, what would you be most thankful for then?
I'm thankful for the fact that I met Adrian, that we had similar standards and principles and things, and that we loved each other so much, and I'm really thankful for God giving us the beautiful children that we've got.
Yeah, that's awesome, Mum. It's super special. Yeah.
It's very special.
Yeah.
And don't forget Robin.
Yes.
Because that was a miscarriage, and so we called her or him Robin.
Yeah.
And when I've told that to other people, they've just absolutely cried.
Well, it's beautiful because it's
because
your
it's
name.
The 5th child.
Well, it's part of your name as well, which makes it special. So that's cool.
But I'm very torn between here and Wellington.
Right.
Because I love it here, but you know, I've got family in Wellington, so it's really, really hard. And the only thing I can do is book into Wellington.
Yeah.
And have some regular, you know, times down there.
So
then I get satisfied with that, and then I want to come back here.
So this is your little home. This is your place where you do your lovely garden. It's your little sanctuary. It's your little nest.
Yes, but some of my friendships aren't like my long-term ones down there.
And that's why you come
and
down
I just
and visit.
have to accept it.
Well, you know.
Like that, I haven't got the same long-term relationships here as I have down there.
Sure.
No.
That's all good though, because relationships change and you get new ones and then other ones just, you know, in the background there. So just to finish off, let's just do a quick fire for a bit of fun. So what is your favourite colour?
Blue.
Blue. And ice cream?
I don't like ice cream very much.
Okay.
But it would probably be a fruit one.
Okay.
And
Right.
probably from Capiti.
Oh, all right. And what is your favourite flower? Or plant, even?
Well, I think it's Alstroemeria at the moment. It probably changes.
Okay, good, good. And what is your favourite animal?
I think it's a cat. Yeah, cats. I've loved cats, but I'd quite like to have a dog.
Oh, all
I
right.
just don't like some of the things they do.
Okay. And what would be one of your favourite foods?
I love salad. I like savoury food.
You like savoury?
But I like salads, yeah, especially if you've got mayo with it.
Okay. And what would your favourite musical instrument be? Do you enjoy listening to?
I think I like saxophones and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of brass, good. What would your favourite TV program be? Well, there's probably quite a few.
I've watched a lot of cooking ones lately. Probably travel ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially about Iceland and places like that that are so fascinating. Yeah, that I haven't been to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been very blessed with the places I've been to.
Are there
and
any
I am
places?
grateful.
Are there any? We'll come back to that. So, what would your favourite season be?
Autumn.
Autumn. Okay, lovely.
Because
And
it's quieter, it's calmed down, it's often lovely and warm then, and it's harvest time.
right, lovely. Well, I think that we've probably covered pretty much everything. So, Mum, thank you so much for letting us speak to you today. It's been amazing and really interesting, and what a life you've led and still leading. So, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. Happy New Year to you as well. And blessings on you and yours.
Thanks, Mum.